There is a growing trend among big brands to use 3D product configurators and customizers. They add an exceptional customer experience to the online shopping experience. What we're looking at here is Nike's shoe designer. Now you can zoom in, zoom out, and rotate the shoes, and then also you can select particular areas and change the color. So I can change the top to blue now. I can change the laces to something like a red. Okay, so this is another example. I've got a pink handbag here. Now I can change the color of the leather to a blue or a black or a green. Okay, so and you can also change the color for the metal parts to silver or stainless steel. So, and I can zoom in and I can see the detail and look at it from different angles. So in this video, I'm going to be showing you how to use React 3 fiber to produce similar sort of a 3D user experience. So I'm on the React 3 fiber document site, and they got some showcase sites or demos that you can look at. They're equally brilliant. Okay, so in this demo, I'm going to be creating a shoe configurator or customizer where I can you can zoom in, zoom out, and look at the shoe from different angles, and also there is a color picker for some parts of the shoes. So if I want to change the main color to something else, I can click on the color picker and change it to, say, I'm going to change the top part to a red. Okay, and I'm going to change the stripes to a blue. Okay, and then I can change the sole to a orange color. Okay, so as you can see, it's changing the color as I change the color picker. Okay, so this is what we're going to be building in React and React Fiber, and we're going to be getting the actual shoe externally from a third party. So we're not going to design the shoe itself, but we're going to get a file called a GLTF file that you can export from things like Blender. So what will be covered is in this video is how to use React.js with React 3 Fiber to render and manipulate 3D models, how to interactively change properties of the 3D model, and how to work with GLTF file formats in React. So if you like tutorials like this, please subscribe to my channel and let's get started. Okay, I'm in my VS Code and I've already run npx create React app. So I've got a standard a React app set up already. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just clean up some of the files. So I'm going to delete the things that I don't want and just going to simplify it a little bit. So I'm not going to be needing the logo .svg. I'm going to be deleting the app.css. So I'm going to be putting all the CSS in index.css. I'm not going to be needing app.test. Delete that. So I've got app.js, index.css, and index.js. And also I don't need the tests, setup tests as well. Okay, so I'm going to be using these three files: app.js, and index.css, and index.js. Okay. Now we're going to be also be needing to install 3JS and all the associated dependencies to create this 3D shoe customizer. It's going to be npm install 3, and also we're going to have at react -3/fiber, and then we're also going to install a module called Dray. Okay, so it's react -3/Dray. Okay, so once that is installed, then we can continue with the rest of the application. Okay, now that's installed, we can carry on with the rest of the application. Okay, so I'm going to go into the app.js and I'm going to do some cleanup here. Now I'm not gonna be needing the logo, so I'm gonna delete that, and I'm gonna not be using the app.css. I'm gonna be using the index.css. So we're gonna put everything inside index.css here. Okay, so that's for the styling. All right, and also we're gonna be importing the other dependencies. So we're gonna import from React. Okay, and we're going to be using use ref and use state. Okay, and then just put some space there. It's going to be import from it's going to be at React /3, and it's going to be fiber, and we're going to be importing canvas. Okay, so and then so canvas is where we're going to be displaying the 3D models and things. Okay, with fiber, React fiber. Okay, so then we're going to import from Dre. So it's React at React /3, and it's Dre. Okay, so the Dre module adds extra features to 3 fiber. So it allows us to have what's called orbital controls. Okay, this allows us to rotate things and do various other stuff with mainly like the camera and things. Okay, so then we're also going to have we're going to use GLTF. Okay, so that's the module that we use to import models. So you know, the models will be created in something like Blender or some other 3D editing package, and within those packages you can export it out to different formats. So one of the formats that 3 can handle is a GLTF. So we're going to be using that hook to load the module, the 3D models. Okay, now that we got our dependencies set up for using 3, we can test this out. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to the app section, and I'm gonna delete everything in between the app wrapper, and then I'm gonna add a canvas. Okay, and in between the canvas I'm gonna have a mesh, and inside the mesh I'm gonna have a box geometry, and it's gonna be box geometry, and that will have I'm gonna have an attach equals geometry, and then I'm gonna have args, which is equal to open close curly brackets, and it's gonna have an array, and this is gonna be the position for it. So 2, 2, 2. An extra comma there. All right. So this should and also in the mesh, I'm going to have a ref equals ref. Okay. So we're gonna have a constant that is equals to. Okay, so we're gonna have a constant that is you declare it with a use ref. So constant ref equals use ref, open close bracket. So this will allow 3 to render 3D objects. Okay, so we're going to render the 3D objects there. Okay, so this is a basic sort of setting to test, you know, your 3 configuration. So if I save this and I go to terminal, new terminal, and then just do npm run start. So we start the server, if I go to the browser, okay, so what we're seeing is we've got a little square there. So this is actually a cube. So the box geometry is actually, you know, how to what you use to render cubes. Okay, so it's given the size, the position to 2. Okay, so we know that it's displaying the square because we only see in the front face of it, because we don't have any lighting or cameras and things like that. So this is just the basic settings to test this out. So we know that's working. Okay, next we're going to need some styling and some boilerplate markup for our application. So I've got something set up already in the CodePen. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this over. So this is what it's going to look like. So it is basically a card with a sort of a panel where we can display our product, and then we have a color picker chooser that you know, you can choose a color for the main, stripes and sole. So as I'm doing here, each one will have its own color picker, so you can choose 3 different colors there. Okay, so the markup is basically, you know, I've got a wrapper there and I've got a card section, which is the whole card here, and then within the card I've got you know, a color chooser section, which is here, and the color chooser has sort of a 3 input fields, and these input fields are of type color. Now this is what makes it a color picker. So this is the basic HTML color picker. Okay, so this you know, when you choose a color, you know, you can set an event handler to pick up the value, then you know, feed it into your React application. So that's how it's going to work. Okay, so it's a basic color picker here. Okay, so and in the styling, you know, it's a basic sort of, you know, I've got reset styles there, and I've got some styling for the wrapper, which is, you know, minimum height 100 view height, and displays flex, and you know, it's all centered. Then I've got the card styling there. You know, it's got a height and border radius and some box shadow going on there. And the product canvas is the white area. That's where we're going to display the product or the model. Okay, so it's just got, you know, width and height and background color and some box shadow thing going on there. Again, it's got a border radius 0. Okay, and then I've got in the color section is, you know, it's a display flex and direction row, and some padding for the div. Okay, so that's basically it. So what we're going to do is we're going to copy this over first. Okay, so I'm going to copy over the CSS. Okay, so I'm going to select tool. So I'm going to leave this link in the comment section so that you can copy the styles from here. Okay, so I'm just going to copy the CSS and go back, and I'm going to copy it into the index.css. So I'm just going to replace that. Okay, so let's save that. Then I go into app.css. So I'm in the app.css here. Now I'm going to delete this stuff that I had there. Okay, then I'm going to delete that constant ref. I don't need that. That's just for testing. So I deleted all the testing stuff here. So I'm going to go back to the CodePen and then copy the markup, HTML markup. Okay. And go back and paste it in between there. And just going to tab. Okay, so okay, that's better. Okay, so so I got the markup in there now, and as I said before, we're going to be putting our 3D model in between this product canvas wrapper. Okay, so that's where we're gonna be doing the 3D model. We're going to be displaying it there. Okay, so we're going to have a canvas there. Oops, capital C canvas. Okay, so, and this is where we're gonna render the 3D model. Now I'm gonna just rename the class name. So I'm just gonna say so it's JSX compatible. Okay, so I'm gonna change that, and there's another one somewhere here. Okay, class name. Okay, so that's there's no other classes there. Okay, so that's done. Okay, now if I save this and go to the browser. Okay, so I've got my card set up nicely, and I've got the color pickers. So the color pickers, you know, the pop-up will appear, but it won't change the color than that on these panels. Okay, because it's JSX, the values won't change on when you change it. Okay, so so this is working. Right, so now we've got to wire up our model and get these color picker working as well. Okay. Okay. Earlier we tested this the canvas with a sort of basic cube model. Okay. So now, you know, with React 3 fiber, you can create these sort of simple shapes, but to create you know, realistic 3D objects like a shoe or, you know, a table or things like that. You need to have sort of professional know-how how to create these things, and it's beyond sort of, you know, a developer's skill set. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to a site called, well, a GitHub repository for Kronos Group, and they've got whole lot of models, realistic models developed by professional 3D artists. So you can use these models in your application for sort of educational purposes. Okay, so I'll leave the link in the comment section so that you can have a look at it. Okay, so basically, you know, you know, if you look through it, you know, you got all these sort of models for like you know, realistic bottles and all these cubes with different textures and gadgets and toys and all sorts of, you know, even animation. So what we're gonna look at is a shoe model. Okay, so if I go down, okay, this is the model that we're gonna be using for our demo. Okay, and if I click on the variants, okay, so so it's usually we're going to be using the GLTF format. Okay, so and it comes with these sort of different files, and you know, the main one will have extension GLTF. Okay, it's that one, and if you look into it, you know, it's like a JSON file there. So it's like a big JSON file, and that consists of sort of different layers of the 3D model. So, you know, you'll have the sole and the main part, and you have the stripes and things like that. So so a bit about the GLTF format. Okay, they have a sort of a tutorial here. If I go through it, so basically it's a JSON structure. Okay, and this is sort of the structure of the JSON file. Okay, you have a scene, and you have a node, and you have a mesh, and within the mesh, you know, you have accessors and buffer, material, texture. So these are sort of the layers of the model, and you know, it even has information about animation and skin. So this is the structure. And usually, you know, you can inspect that file and look through it, but you find you'll have a difficult time to sort of, you know, find out, well, what's what. Okay, so that's the general structure. Okay, so you can see from the GLTF, they got a little sample here. So you got the scenes, nodes, and cameras, and animations, and buffers, and it also has a binary file. Okay, so associated with this, and it's got some JPEG files, and these are for the textures. So so this gives it sort of a, you know, more 3D life-like sort of effect when you apply these JPEG files to it as well. So the binary files will have some raw data about the actual geometry of the shape, the animations and skins and things like that. So that's the general sort of outline of what all these files are for. So usually you'll create these files in Blender and export it, and in GLTF format. So these things are already being done. So we're just going to use the outputted file. Okay, so for this example, I'm going to be using a model that I found on this GitHub repository account, drcmd8. Now I'll leave the link in the comment section. Now they got a 3 React fiber example using a floating shoe. Okay, so under the resources, and there's a folder called gltf. A folder, and under there we've got 4 files that we need, and this is an optimized model that has all the different layers. So this is what we're going to be using. So going back to my VS Code, so I've already downloaded that those files locally. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy and drag it into the public folder of my project. Okay, so remember, I'm not copying into the source anyway, so I'm copying into the public folder. So I've copied it over. Okay, now there's another step that I need to do. Okay, now with this file, I can create some React code using a command that will pull out all the layers. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to a terminal window, okay, and I'm going to run. So I'm in the folder locally where I copied this model, not in my project app folder. Okay, so what I'm going to do is npx, and it's gltf jsx, and we're going to apply. Well, what we need to do is we need to point it to the shoe.gltf file. Okay, that's that one. Okay, with the cube logo there. Okay, that's the model file, gltf file. Okay, so when we run this command, it will generate some React code that we can use in our application. Okay, so when this is done, a JS file will appear here, and it will be called shoe. So when it's done, so it will output a shoe.js. So it appears here. Okay, so what I can do is I can just open it up in Notepad, and I can inspect it. So if I pull it over here, okay, so this file, this is what it contains. Okay, so it's got it's basically a React component called model, and what it does is it renders the model and all its layers, and it's broken down the different layers, like the laces, the mesh, the caps, the inner part, the sole, stripes, etc. Okay, so this is a basic model that React Fiber can render. So it's ready to be rendered. Okay, that's what it is. Okay, so we're going to be using parts of this. We're just going to copy straight into our app.js. Okay, so we don't need everything. Okay, so because we've got all these parts on there already. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just copy this export default function. So it's not going to be an export default, it's just going to be a function basically. So I'm just going to copy the whole thing. Okay, so I don't need this part because this is actually loading the model. So we can do that in our code. Okay, so in the first instance, I'm just going to copy this. Okay, and then I'm going to paste it into my app.js. I'm going to go back to VS Code. Okay, and just going to minimize the public folder now. Okay, so in the app.js, let me just minimize that. Okay, in the app.js, I'm gonna put it just above the app.js. Okay, I mean the app function. Okay, so I'm gonna paste it in there. So this is just gonna be a normal function. All right, so it's just a plain function called a model. Okay, so once again, this is not an export default function, so it's just a plain function. Okay, and inside this code, we've got a group wrapper there. Okay, and that's that has a use reference, and also you know, within there it's got these child components, you know, which are meshes. Okay, and they access the individual parts or objects, 3D objects for, you know, like the laces, the mesh, the caps, the inner part, the sole. Okay, so you can directly access them and manipulate them. So that's what this you know, this whole sort of you know, when you load it, you know, you're accessing the individual parts, the nodes and the materials. So that's what's happening here. Okay, so we can access sort of the color and change the color. That's what we're aiming to do. As I mentioned before, this component is ready to be rendered. Okay, so if I go down, we can test this out, and you know, we put in a canvas wrapper there, so we can render our 3D objects. Okay, just before we do that, I just noticed that we don't have a we haven't changed the class name for these. There's two there that I haven't done. Okay, so I'm just going to quickly do that. So it's going to be class name and class name here, so that we don't get any JSX errors. Okay, so here in between the canvas, we can first put in a suspense element. Okay, and what this does is this when you're rendering sort of complex 3D models, you need this in place so that you know, if there's any errors or anything, it will catch it. So you have a fallback, okay, and is equal to, and you can have a spinner or something. Yeah, I just leave it as null. Okay, so in between the suspense, we can put in an ambient light. Okay, and also, oops, just have one with a closing tag. Okay, so and then also we're gonna have a model. Okay, so this is all we need to test this out. So if I save that and go to the browser, just do a refresh just in case. Okay, so it's rendering a small shoe. So so this is what I expect. And now we can continue with the rest of the customization. Okay, next we're gonna first deal with the size of the shoe. Okay, so if I go back to the model function, and in the group element, I'm gonna add an attribute, and it's gonna be scale equals to open close curly brackets, and I'm gonna say give it a 3 value. Okay, now if I save that and go to the browser, okay, so it's the shoes become bigger now. Okay, so if I go down now, go to the canvas area, and we're gonna add another light here. So it's gonna be spotlight. Okay, and we're gonna give it some attributes like intensity equals to 0.9, and then we're gonna also give an angle which is equals to something like 0.1, and then we're gonna give it a something called a penumbra, which is gonna be a value of 1, and then we're gonna give a position of let me just take that to the next. Okay, position is going to be equals to, we're going to give it something like, so it's going to be an array, and it's going to be 10, 15, 10. Okay, so then we're also going to give it a cast shadow as well. Okay, so then next we're going to give it some orbital controls. Okay, I'm going to put that there. Okay, so it's going to be orbital. So orbital controls. All right, so this is going to allow us to rotate and move the camera and things like that. So we're going to give it some attributes. So we were just going to say enable pan. So we want it to pan out. Okay, so say true, and then we also gonna have enable zoom, and we're gonna set that to true as well, equals to true. Okay, then we're gonna also have enable rotate to true. Rotate equals to true. Okay, so, and if I save this, and if I go to the browser, okay, so it's got a light there, and you can rotate it around. Okay, so it's a gray color at the moment. So next we're gonna deal with the color aspect of it. Okay, so we can also make it bigger, smaller. All right, so look at it in different angles, the sole, the inner lining. Okay, so to add color to our shoe or parts of the shoe, we need to go back to the model function, and as you can see, we got all these mesh elements, and these mesh elements are associated to particular parts of the shoe. Okay, so you can add an extra attribute to any one of these meshes to give it a color. So the attribute is a material color. Okay, and is equal to open close curly brackets, and you can give it a named color or a hexadecimal color. So I'm going to just say red. So I'm making the laces red. Okay, so if I save this, go to the browser. Okay, so as you can see, the laces are red now. All right. Okay, so we can do that to all of them. So we can just add that attribute to all of them. And let me just see. Okay, I was just saying material color equals open close bracket, and we just set it to blue. Okay, so all of them. So we don't want to leave it blank. All right. So now all of them are blue. Okay. So if I save that, go to the browser. There you go. So if I okay, so now you can see the effect of the lights and things like that. So if I change the stripes to something like red or something, let's just say stripes. Okay, red, and the sole white. Okay, so now you can see the full effect of the lights and everything. Okay, so as you can see the shine of the stripes. Okay, so that's how you change the color. So now we're gonna change it dynamically using these color pickers. Okay, currently it doesn't work. So that's the next thing we need to do. Okay, to change our color dynamically using the color pickers, we need to store these values in state variable and then pass props through the model. And if I go back to the model function, we see that we're passing the props already, so we can get access to that, and then we can change the colors dynamically that way. Okay, so first what we need to do is we can just pass some props manually, okay, just to test it out. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll call it we create an attribute called custom colors. Okay, is equal to open close curly brackets, open close curly brackets again. So, and then we're going to, so we're feeding in an object. So it's going to be we're going to have a color for the mesh, and we just say it's red for the time being. Okay, and then we're going to have a color for the stripes. Okay, and that's going to be a blue. Okay, so blue, and then oops, okay, that's a blue. Okay, then comma, then we're gonna have just put a comma there. Right, then we're gonna have the sole, which is gonna be we're gonna have it white. Okay, so all I create is an object with 3 items for mesh, stripes, and sole, and they have a value of the colors that we want them to be. Okay, so this should be accessible in the model component now. Okay, so what we can do is we can just replace, say, the mesh, and we just say we just access the props now. Okay, so we're gonna say props dot custom colors dot mesh. Okay, and we do the same for the sole. Okay, so that's the sole. Okay, so but it's going to be custom colors, and it's going to be sole. All right, so we're going to do the same for the stripes, which is that one. And we just change the name to stripe. Okay, so if I save that, so these colors will be fed by the props. Okay, so if I go, okay, so there you go. So that's the body is red now, and the stripes are blue. Okay, so if I change the color there to a pink, change, and then that to a dark blue. There you go. So that's changed the color to sort of pink and a dark blue. Okay, so just change it back. Okay, so that's so we can manually change it like this. So to change the color dynamically, we need to store the color values in state variables. And so when we change the color via the color picker, we would use an onChange handler to update the state variable. Okay, so that's what we need to do next. So before I do that, I'm just going to change these IDs for these input fields and the labels. Okay, so just to make it much cleaner. So the first one will be mesh. Okay, so the name is also mesh, and I'm gonna also change the for, which is mesh. Okay, and second one's gonna be it's gonna be stripes. I think it is. stripes, yep, stripes. So the name's going to be stripes, and also the 4 would be stripes. Okay, and the third one's going to be the sole. So the name is also sole. Okay, and the 4 is going to be sole. Okay, so this is just to make the code cleaner. Okay, so we're gonna use these names, mesh, stripes, and sole, and also okay. So what we need to do now is create the state variables. So it's going to be constant equals use state, and I'm going to set all of them to ff. It's a bit of a hash, so it's basically white. Okay, so that's going to be just copied down, right? So the first one's going to be mesh, comma set mesh. Okay, the second one's going to be stripes, comma set stripe, and the third one's going to be sole, comma set sole. Okay, so these are our 3 state variables. Okay, now we need to go to the color pickers. Okay, and we need to create a onChange handler. Okay, so it's going to be onChange equals to, and then it's going to be, so we're going to have an arrow function, and we're going to say set mesh, and we're going to set it with e.target.value. So this will pick up the changed value, and it will change the state variable. Okay, so we can probably, let's try this out. So we also need to set that to the state variable. So that'll be mesh. Now this will change the value. Now we need to feed that into the props for our model. Okay, so we're going to change this part now. So we're going to change that to mesh. Okay, and then when it gets fed into there, we will access the mesh variable. Okay. Okay, so if I save that, and there you go. So if I change it to green, if I change it to blue, change it to red, so it's changing the main color to whatever I change on the color picker for main. Okay, so these don't work at the moment, so because we haven't wired it up. Okay. Okay, now let's try do the same for stripes and sole. Okay, so I'm gonna go to the second color picker. Okay, and we're gonna say onChange equals and it's an arrow function, and we're gonna say set stripes, and I'm going to set it with e.target.value. So we're going to change that to equals to stripes. Okay, so I'm going to do the same for that, but we're going to call it sole. And we're going to create an onChange handler. Is equal to, and it's going to be e our function to set sole, and we're going to go e.target dot value. Okay, so that looks okay, that looks okay. Now we need to change it in the properties that we're passing through. So it's going to be, oops, stripes and sole. So if I save that, go to the browser. Okay, so everything's white. So I change the body, the mesh. Okay, so that's changed it. The stripes, I'm going to change it to blue. Okay, that's changed it. So change it to a green. That's changed it. Yep. We change it to red. Okay, so that's changing. Now we're going to target the sole. So I'm going to change it to red. That's changed it. Green, changed it. And yellow. Yep. So that's, there you go. So it's changing all the colors. What we're going to do next is we're going to just customize it a little bit more, so that the colors for these other areas, like this stripe thing, and the caps on the laces and the patch at the back, it's going to change as well, and the inner area as well. Okay, so if I go back, right, and I'll go back to my model function, and under the meshes we're gonna target those particular areas. Okay, so just gonna copy one of these. So I'm gonna access the color props, and for the laces I'm gonna say it's gonna be the same as the stripes. Okay, so I'm gonna say stripes. Okay, and then for the caps I'm gonna say it's gonna be same as the sole. Okay, so for the next we're gonna look at the inner, so that's gonna be same as this sole, color for the sole. Okay, and then we got the band. Okay, so we're gonna say the band is gonna be same as the stripes. Okay, then we got the patch. The patch is gonna be same as the sole. So all we're doing is we're replacing all the colors with the color picker values. Okay, so save that and go. Right, so now if I change the color to red, okay, so you see the strip and everything else is red. Okay, now if I change the sole color to blue, okay, you see the caps changed and the inner areas changed, and the patch at the back has changed as well. So if I change the stripes to a green, okay, so that's changed the strip and the stripes. Okay, so this sort of it's a better customization in my opinion. Okay, so if I change it to a purple, okay, so see all these things match. So if I change the stripe color again to a purple, okay, I'll change it to something else because the sole is purple as well. So change it to an orange. There you go. So if I zoom in, as you can see the better. You can see the texture is a bit more clearer. So I hope you liked this tutorial, and if you like, if you want to see more tutorials like this, please subscribe to my channel, and see you in the next video.